Good afternoon, everyone. It's really good to see you all. Happy Climate Week. This is always such an exciting time of the year as people from across the globe gather here in New York City to focus on the most critical issue of our time, climate change. At the Columbia Climate School, we are especially proud to use this week as an opportunity to convene leaders from government and industry and academia alongside our own faculty and students and researchers to spark new ideas, share bold approaches, and drive meaningful action together. I'm Alexis Abramson. I'm the Dean of the Columbia Climate School, and it really is my great pleasure to welcome you to the Columbia Climate School Showcase. Today's program will highlight bold approaches to climate action and will showcase the extraordinary impact of our students, our faculty, our researchers, and our partners. So thank you for being here with us. To begin our program, I would like to give a special thanks to Columbia Global for their partnership on this first session of this event. I'm delighted to introduce Minister Paíno Henríquez, who serves as the Dominican Republic's Minister of Environment and Natural Resources, a role he assumed in August 2024. A trained lawyer with a degree from Pontificia Universidad Católica Madre y Maestra, he also holds a master's in development economics from the University of Manchester and pursued additional studies at the Sorbonne in Paris. With a long track record as a public servant and environmental advocate, Minister Henríquez has advanced national efforts in sustainable development, climate resilience, and natural resource management. His leadership has been central to initiatives such as integrated solid waste management, biodiversity protection, and the integration of climate resilience into national policy, positioning the Dominican Republic as a regional leader in environmental governance. I would also like to introduce Jeff Schlegelmilch, Associate Professor of Professional Practice in the Faculty of Climate at the Columbia Climate School and Director of the National Center for Disaster Preparedness, also leader of our executive education and non-degree programs. Jeff will moderate our first session. Please welcome them to the stage.
All right. Well, thank you. Welcome all. Great to see all of you here today. And yeah, I guess just to kind of start off with the conversation, the first question would be, what does a Minister of the Environment do? and how does this work kind of integrate into resilience and adaptation?
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. For me, it's an honor for all my team to be in Colombia talking about such an important topic. The Ministry of the Environment of the Dominican Republic is a ministry that is relatively new, is of the year 2000, and it has gathered all the responsibilities of the executive branch of the Dominican Republic related for the protection of the environment and our natural resources. Additionally, obviously has responsibilities with regards to such an important issues as climate change. Climate change is one priority of the ministry, and we are working on preparing and dealing with the reality that the climate crisis is a reality. We are already, as a insular state, island state, Dominican Republic is a small island in the Caribbean that is considered is going to be one of the 20 countries more impacted by the climate crisis. And we only contribute on 0.1% of the emissions. It's part of the realities of the world. We are not, we don't have a degree of responsibility, but we're going to be one of the 20 islands or countries more that will suffer the most important changes due to climate crisis. And we are living this as of right now. The effects, such as the cases of the sargassum invasion that we have had. Sargassum is a seaweed that is comes from the Atlantic Sea, from the Atlantic Sea, and comes to our island and covers most of our coastlines and affecting the industry, the tourism industry, the fishing industry, and it's affecting all Caribbean. It's currently a local problem, but it's from the data we are obtaining, it's going to be a planetary problem in the future with the contamination of our oceans and the increase of the temperature that is making this seaweed 10 times, 20 times grow faster than it used to be years ago. And in general, we have identified, due to our situation, that resilience and adaptability should be on the top of the agenda. When I came into office as Minister of the Environment, the day I was pronounced as Minister, the President of the Dominican Republic was re-elected. And one point that I identify is that in his speech, the climate crisis was not on the agenda of that day of discussion. And it's been an issue that we have worked on since that day. So discussions of this reality is not that it's coming, the crisis, it will happen in the future. It's a reality that is affecting not just the seaweed. We have longer droughts, and rainy season is changing in the Dominican Republic. And if you go in the whole region, the world, or the whole planet, you have fires here in America, Canada, Spain, Brazil, the biggest forest fires in history. If you go and see what's happening with agriculture in Spain, that 30% of the production, the productivity has gone down, those are clear messages of what is happening in the world. And we, as a country, a small island, have focused on building the resilience, not only on the territory, but with the communities. We need to involve the communities, and also preparing for what will be years of stress with regards to the production of water and stress in the agricultural area. So for us, it's a priority, all the protected areas, and we are subscribers of the 30 by 30 agreement. So we already made the completed 30% of protection of our coastlines, but we are 26% of our territory is protected area, and one of our policies is to get to the 30% by 2030, part of the agreement in Montreal. So that's part of our provision, and the protection of our rivers and the production of water in the high mountains. That is basic for the sustainability of our industries, the tourism industry, the agricultural, and the free zone industry.
Great, really, really enlightening all around. And being in the shadows of the UN, there are a lot of regional themes. I want to come back to that in just a minute. But as we talk about kind of the community piece, the human piece that you mentioned, I understand that there's some work that your ministry has been doing with Columbia University, with our colleagues from Columbia World Projects. I'd love to hear a little bit more about some of that work.
Yeah, we are not going to be able to change this reality if people are not in the top of the agenda. The environment, our natural resources are important, but if we, in our countries, don't make a change through education, and I always say education, education, education of the people, all the efforts that we do won't be as effective if we don't change the mentality. And an example that I can give very quick is you can restore a whole piece of land, And it would take hundreds of thousands of dollars and a month of effort. And one single farmer can destroy that with a match in a few hours. That's the reality. So we need to change that farmer, that he understands that those resources are part of his sustainability and of his life. With one match, he can change that effort, and it has happened in countries like us. And also in urban communities, we need to prepare the communities for the challenges ahead. More floods, more scarcity of water, more storms and hurricanes. And with Colombia, we've been working with the resilience centers that they have designed and work in agreement also with and in collaboration with other authorities and other universities, local universities. The resilience centers, since that project was presented to me, I fell in love with it, because what we're trying to do is bring climate change to the poor communities, to the marginated communities, and they understand the impact, and they get prepared for these changes that are going to be happening. This will change life and save life also. That is very important. And those centers, we've also created through our Eco-Heroes Resilience group, a group of voluntaries that will do support to the communities and to the center. And we train them in diverse skills for them to be ready for the challenges. My goal, we're initiating this process, but my goal and obviously the goal of the President, Luis Abinader, is to have presence of this resilience center in all the territory of the Dominican Republic.
No, really, really great to hear, and really great to hear on how we sort of connect these broader themes with the realities of the actions of an individual or the actions of a community. Zooming out a little bit again to the regional approach, I remember I had the pleasure of being part of the roundtable before this, and you talked about the sargassum problem and the regional sort of ties, fertilizers coming down the Amazon basin from Brazil, other islands being affected, and even within the Dominican Republic, different hotels and how they treat it. How is your ministry involved in regional collaboration, and what activities are you taking to sort of further kind of harness and strengthen regional collaboration on these issues?
Yes, we need to work together as a region. The problems of our region are very similar. Every time we meet the ministers or the authorities of all the region, the Caribbean and Latin America, a lot of the issues are the same, and a lot of the challenges are the same. If we don't understand that this is too big, the climate change, climate crisis, there's no local solution. I mean, and an effective adaptability and resilience plan is not effective enough if we don't do it in a regional way. And the best example is Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic is a country that is in the island of Hispaniola, that shares with Haiti this island. And we cannot view public policies related to climate change or environmental or environmental protection. We cannot see it on a point of view of the Dominican Republic, because we are one island and 22 million people. And what happens in that side, the division is a political, an imaginary line. But the reality is that we share rivers, we share mountains, we share territory. So we need to find solutions for the whole. And I spoke about sargassum, and the reality of the sargassum that we're living is the same as Mexico. So it's best if we do the planning together, the studying of the problem together, so we can do a more cost-effective solution. Because scarcity of resources and of funds, everybody knows what's happening. So we need to work together on these problems. There are problems that are regional. And the example is sargassum. Sargassum, the impact of sargassum is in all the islands of the Caribbean and in Mexico, and Belize also are the areas more impacted. But sargassum, the sargassum sea that has existed from eternity. I mean, Columbus mentions the sargassum in his first trip to the Americas, but it has changed. It has changed on position, and it's attributed that most of the growth is in the coastline of Brazil due to the Amazon basin and the erosion that is happening due to agriculture and use of fertilizers. So it's growing 20 times larger, but what is those actions are impacting in Dominican Republic and Mexico and Puerto Rico and Martinique. It's not impacting in Brazil. So we need to find regional solutions, and for that we'll also hope to work with Colombia on serving as a connector of dots in these projects.
Great. You know, you bring up finance as one of the key components of this and sort of shrinking resources. I'm curious your thoughts. You know, in my experience this week, a lot of these Climate Week events that I've gone to have centered around climate finance, right? And creating new opportunities, but also pitfalls. We have a number of students here who are actually in the climate finance degree programs, many more, where this will be a part of what they do into the future one way or another. What do you see as some of the opportunities and some of the challenges as we look at kind of financing this?
Well, to put you in context, Dominican Republic needs $21 billion, has identified the need for climate finance for $21 million for all the mitigation actions that are required under NDC and NDC 3.0. And approximately $9 billion for all adaptability and resilience actions. We're talking about $30 million or more that will represent approximately 25% of our GDP. We don't have the funds to cover that. So the option of climate finance is necessary, but we need to tackle the challenges that we have confronted. Bureaucracy is the great enemy of climate finance. We cannot wait 5, 6, 7 years for a financing to come and get approved. I mentioned in a previous meeting, I'm going to be the one paying RED Plus for the first time in Dominican Republic, but that began 7 years ago. 7 years ago. So so me as a minister right now, I have an idea or a policy or a program that I want to implement. It's impossible for us as political actors to wait 5 or 6 years. So it's a big challenge. Local and international bureaucracy is one of the big threats to all this planning that we're doing and working for.
I think really important points and kind of level setting, just sort of the challenges and kind of activating some of this and sort of getting it through the process. I guess kind of pulling at that thread a little bit more, you know, we're in the shadow of some very provocative statements at the UN General Assembly. Maybe we'll leave it at that. Because here we're not going to pick apart the partisan politics, but how do we navigate this with many sort of current and future leaders sitting here in the room, an environment where not everyone necessarily shares the same values or has different incentives or different priorities. How do you propose kind of, and how do you kind of navigate that context in trying to do work that benefits all?
The challenge is real and it's complicated because we need to think on the long road at this moment. I mean, we cannot be focused on what's happening in the current situation And the reality is that this is the nature is going to be talking and expressing and communicating. And you're going to see, if we don't do our job, that sooner than later, these actions are going to impact on all the territory, directly or indirectly, all the planet Earth. So some fights take years, others take decades. But what we cannot do is quit, because quitting is not an option in this case, because you guys and us, we plan to live here for much longer than the one administration or two. There's ways to do it. In the case of Dominican Republic, we have focused on these regional efforts. We have received support from other European countries that are continue executing. We have to be more creative. We have to be more effective. We're making alliances with South Korea that has reaffirmed their compromise of reducing their emissions. And we're doing also agreements with them, with Sweden, with France, and we'll continue working towards that. And at a local level in the U.S., there are state authorities that continue working with all the plans related to this climate crisis. So we have to be more creative, but what we cannot do is let go or quit, because that's not an option. I'm telling you, I'm seeing it, I'm talking in the territory, this is a reality. It's not the same discussion as 20 years ago. The change, we've had the 3 warmest days of Dominican Republic, and believe me, Dominican Republic is warm. We had the 3 on last August, the 3 warmest days in history. It's held there. And it's gonna keep going, and it's gonna be more difficult every year until we do the changes that we need to do.
No, I appreciate that, and really just kind of carving that way ahead, knowing that, you know, it's rough waters, but something that we have to navigate. As we talk about, I mean, here we are in an institution that produces a lot of research. There's a lot of knowledge and information has come up in a lot of your comments. I guess I'll ask kind of a two-parter. One is, how do you use like data and research in the work that you do? And the other question, sort of building on that, can you, in the audience, raise your hand if you're a student or a researcher? And just keep it up for a bit. So they're all planning their research on what to do next. What that they do, keep them up for a minute. We're taking names. What would be the most helpful kinds of outputs for you from the work that comes from this? All right, you can put it down. Thank you, guys.
How many hours we have for this?
For you, we'll make time.
Well, I consider myself personally a very data-driven person. I mean, I think data is the best way to find, to get to clear courses of action and plans. The reality is that as the ministry, when I assumed, there was a lot of scarcity of data. We've been working on that. We've been incorporating platforms that are supported by AI. We, as a ministry, we have not only climate issues. I mean, we have all the regulation of all the projects and approvals. I can do it in my phone. Now I see everything that is happening related to authorizations on my phone, and that gives me that data of what is the impact, how many emissions these projects are taking, how many workers are being part. I mean, we're managing a lot of data, and we're going to continue working on that because it's the best way to take the best decisions. But obviously, another work that we're doing with a UN agency is all this research that has been done for many years in Dominican Republic. In many occasions, it gets lost in the bureaucracy or on a shelf in an office. And we're gathering up all these studies, analysis, hundreds and hundreds of them that have been done, and gathering on one platform that will help you as a researcher identify areas that already can be work or could be complemented of work before, and for us will help us identify what are the real necessities. Definitely, Dominican Republic, and it's the same in all the region, have in the level of the Ministry of the Environment, the reality is that we are the Cinderella of ministries. We are, and it happens in all the region. We are the less funded agency of the government, or one of the less funded. We always manage scarcity, and that affects our capacity to take decisions based on academy, based on science, based decisions because of these limitations of funds. And in many areas, sometimes the decision is intuitive. I don't know if that's English, but it's an intuitive decision. It's not based on the science. So we need to work on that. And I can tell you hundreds of examples. For example, we were discussing, Peter and I, what is the effect of the recycling industry in Dominican Republic? Or what is the projection or the feasibility, the real feasibility? Watching that countries much bigger and much richer than us are just recycling 10% or 15% of all the recyclable products. Those are financial, scientific studies that we need to do so that we don't lose our efforts or waste our efforts in areas that are not as effective as other important areas. And that can be said for example, the value of ecosystemic services of our protected areas. I cannot go and tell my president, this 30% of the territory that we're protecting represents X% of the GDP of the Dominican Republic. I cannot say it because we don't have the scientific and academic studies that to show for. We can do an estimation, or I cannot even at this time, I cannot go and say to a multilateral or any other country that do an alliance, the Dominican Republic captures X amount of gases under forest. I cannot say it that because we have estimations, we understand, but a real assessment has not been executed. Or now with the blue economy that for us is a great opportunity. But we haven't had a study, a strong study that says, okay, our mangroves and our pasture, our biodiversity in our coastline captures this amount and represents for biodiversity. We have estimations. So for studies, I can bring the whole team. We get on a plane and you have the work for years in Dominican Republic. And it's an opportunity, and I was saying to all the authorities here in Colombia, because the good part of Dominican Republic is that we are a country, if we go on the political side, there's no political difference between the parties, ideologically. I mean, we all agree that we have a climate a climate crisis. We all agree on the way the economy is being run. We all agree that democracy is the best of the best, even it has all the problems that it has. There's no other option better than democracy, and don't ever forget that in this moment. Democracy. So we are a good country, and we have 40 years of steady economic growth, and so we have the stability to be a center for research, and we have a beautiful biodiversity. We have areas of the country that look more like the Poconos and colder, as cold as the Poconos. We don't have snow, obviously, but very cold. Sub-zero wet, well, sub-zero Celsius. We get even very low temperatures, frozen temperatures, and we have the hottest part of the region también also. So we have a biodiversity that we always say that we have a biodiversity as if we were a continent, and it's true because we have the highest mountains in the eastern hemisphere of America. Not of the Americas, of America. The highest mountain is Pico Duarte, is higher of any mountain in the eastern part of the US or eastern part of South America. And we have what we are known for our beaches, and we have deserts also, so it's an opportunity to engage in interesting studies of biodiversity also, and climate finance, and the possible actions that could be done at the borders also, that I believe in binational actions that have to be done, and that's another experience that we could serve as a reference.
So I'm expecting to see a bunch of research protocols from our students here on my desk from this. A lot of great inspiration, a lot of great ways to explore this. You talk a lot about the biodiversity. I want to get into a little bit of ecotourism. And I know that that's a major component, and it can present a lot of economic opportunities, but also environmental consequences. How do you approach this, and how do you think about this in terms of kind of balancing these things?
Well, we need to see it not as an individual solution. What is better? Have communities in the mountains with livestock and agriculture that is subsisting agriculture, a very archaic way of doing agriculture, or get these people to become tour guides, to become a provider of services for the tourism industry on a sustainable and controlled way, so that these areas kept being protected. I mean, that's what you have to do as a public officer. Not always is going to be a right or wrong way. Most of the time, we're going to be taking decisions on the gray area. And those are the things that you have to ponder. For example, we have in the Dominican Republic, Parque Cotubanamá, that is Isla Saona. I don't know if anybody knows that island. It's a small island close to the country. It's part of our country, and it's the main tourist destination of the Dominican Republic. We receive approximately 12 million tourists a year. We're the second tourist destination of whole Latin America, and that place receives more than 1.2 million tourists a year as a visit. And it's a protected area and has biodiversity, and it has developed an industry in the community, in the coastline, that the changes in the community are significant. I mean, it's, there's no unemployment. The people work around this area. A lot of things need to be fixed, but there's a lot in favor of this type of community. We need to make it more sustainable, less impact, But definitely, the area has kept protected. Maybe if that wouldn't have happened, that area would have been destroyed for any other reason. And another example, beautiful example that we have, and it was initiated by a person related to the Kennedy family, Joe Kennedy. He came in the 2000, and it's Saltos de la Majagua. It's a river in Puerto Plata that is a model for Latin America of a community administering a protected area. All the fields around this river in the year 2000 were livestock and agriculture fields. Right now, through this joint administration, they have bought all the land, and you cannot walk through it's a jungle, because it's beautiful. The Dominican Republic is beautiful because that. You leave alone a piece of land, and in 6 months, you cannot even walk through, because the biodiversity, the flora, the fauna comes up right away. And if you visit that place, you will say, no, that's a bosque primario, that's a virgin forest. No, 20 years ago, it was completely destroyed. So it shows that with a good governance and with clear rules of the game, you can do both and be very successful. Remember this, always, of what you do on your research or anything, put the community first, the people. That's my main advice, because they are the ones that are going to sustain the changes and keep, after you leave, keep working on the protection of the areas or the biodiversity.
Wonderful. We're going to open up now for questions from the audience. We have some microphones on the side. While we sort of get set up for that, I have one more question. It may be the toughest question of the set. We have a lot of flights to the Dominican Republic out of New York, and I think all of us are looking up the prices and seeing how much and how quickly we can get there. But we have even more Dominican restaurants. What meal would magically take us to the Dominican Republic if we went to...
Here it's very easy, because I think there are more Dominican restaurants here than in Dominican Republic. No, I mean, we have one that is called the Dominican flag.
Oh,
that is
La
Bandera Nacional. That is basically rice with beans and meat, avocado, and some tostones. It's fried plantains. That's our everyday meal, and obviously very flavorful. And the mofongo, obviously. The mofongo, I imagine you have... you can go a few blocks out here and eat better mofongo than in Santo Domingo. Okay. That is basically a mashed plantain with pork belly.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Those are foods. And the puerco en puya.
Okay. All right.
Definitely the roasted pig is one of, for celebration, is for us very important.
Wonderful. And I'm watching your team here that you came with, making sure they're in agreement, nodding along. Great. The questions from the audience, come on. Are we bringing the mic up to them? Yeah, go ahead, throw a hand up, and love to hear from you.
Hi, this question is for the minister. I'm a Columbia alum, engineering. In terms of the private industry on the island, whether they're from North America or Europe or Asia, how are you utilizing them to support your cause and to raise more funds to address these issues?
I don't want to be. I'm going to begin with the positive part, with a positive response, because I try to be positive of the work that we are doing. I don't think there's been any other time in Dominican Republic, in the history of Dominican Republic, that the issues regarding the environment in general, climate change, protection of the biodiversity, etc., has ever been on the top of the speech and the discussions of the private sector. I initiated 25 years ago my law practice, and obviously I had a focus on environmental law at the time. And believe me, what I say that what happened, what I saw on that time, on what I have seen them as they have their sustainable area, they have they're complying with all the norms and the regulations of the environment. It's significantly different. However, and it's a job that we need to educate us as leaders. We need to educate the private sector. They need to understand, and let's say in the case of the tourist industry in Dominican Republic, that if you want to continue receiving tourists and that they swim in a beautiful pool, that water comes from a natural resource. 85% of the water of Dominican Republic comes from protected areas. So you need to understand that it's not an expense, it's not a marketing tool, it's an investment that you're doing on when you put money on those protected areas to maintain the sustainability of that area. It has to be focused like that. And how they work on a financial analysis, feasibility. You have to understand, talk their language. And that's what I'm trying to work with them. They understand that if we continue destroying our rivers or they get contaminated, they won't have water for their industry. And that goes for the tourism industry, but it goes to the agricultural industry, it goes to the free zone industry, the manufacturing. All depend on water, and life depends on water. So the ecosystemic services need to be understood by the private sector.
This is such an important point too in terms of that value proposition for different groups within the community and how they're affected sort of in their terms. Just really appreciate that point. Let's get a question. Did we have one on this side? Do we have a mic? Did we have one? Oh, we got one over here, Cesar.
Hi, thank you for coming and talk to us. I have a question in reference to the green economy and circularity. Are you guys working with Pro Dominicana? Pro Dominicana is the ministry that looks over foreign investment and exports. Are you guys taking advantage of the current situation to create value in references to create policies and to attract foreign investment in terms of green economy and like green hydrogen, for example, production, and creating incentive to attract those foreign investments?
Yes, we're working. We have a plan in several areas. For example, we work very close to Pro Dominicana, but in terms of public contracts, we have made an alliance and a joint resolution ordering the first buyer of Dominican Republic is the Dominican government. It's the first buyer and receiver of services and for the whole private sector. It's the largest expenses. And we have established a green purchase rules ordering all the institutions of the government to buy green, to buy more sustainable products, and to try to move from energy resources that are more contaminated. It's a work in progress. It's not going to happen from one day, but we have received a very good response from the other agencies. And also, with the agencies, we're working on Producción Más Limpia, that is a more sustainable production for the government. It's like to walk the talk. I mean, if we want to be green as a country, the government needs to be green, including the Ministry of the Environment, that needs to be transformed in many ways in how, but it takes time. And in relation to circular economy, we have a relatively new law, the solid waste management law, that includes circular economy, and we are very advanced of establishing the pending issue that for more than 5 years, that is the extended responsibility of the producer or the generation of products of waste. We have 7 identified types of waste. It's a model used in Europe a lot, especially Germany and Spain have had the leadership. And it basically says if you produce this product that is a special type of waste, you're responsible for collecting it, for managing it. And if you don't do it, you have to pay. And we'll be approving these rules, and it will be the 3rd country in Latin America to approve it. Chile and Colombia are the other 2 ones. And I think that will help continue generating a new industry related to circular economy. We're coming from prehistoric levels, as I was joking in the previous meetings, because in 2020 we didn't have one project of waste management according to international standards. Now we have 7. So we had open field landfills most of the territory. So we already inaugurated a recycling plant for PET. And I understand that in the Germany, the waste management industry and recycling industry is an 80 billion euros a year industry. Is a big opportunity for the private sector to enter in Dominican Republic. We are developing a whole new industry relating to circular economy, recycling, and waste management.
Okay. I think we have time for one more quick question, and then we'll come over to this side here. Great.
Thank you for the insights. I'm curious about the new industries that you see up and coming, and if you have any advice for future entrepreneurs in the Dominican Republic, where do you see opportunities to start businesses?
Wow. A whole conference.
I warned you, they ask good questions.
Excellent question, excellent. Well, opportunities, we're still a country that needs international investment, foreign investment to have, let's say, fresh funds and fresh knowledge and technology. I understand that for Dominican Republic and for the whole world, we're going in 2 different ways. We have this crisis with all these issues, and on the other way, we have a technological revolution that can be a part of it. I think most of the solutions that we can find for all of the resilience and adaptation that we need to implement in the next decades will come from technology support. I was just watching here a technology that you guys are developing for alert, for natural disasters alert that is built on AI. And you can imagine how much it takes for us as an effort to do that, and that does it in 30 seconds or less, the technology. So we need to, with the challenges also of the energy consumption of AI and all the challenges that we have, but definitely it can serve technology as an important tool for the solution. So don't work apart. You need to always understand that the velocity of this revolution is not all a threat. It can be a way of solving many of the problems that we have, because all of our challenges are cost a lot, and we need to find ways to make it more cost effective. So about Dominican Republic, obviously, the circular economy and the waste management are important opportunities. I understand, and that's another research tool. I've worked 3 years before in waste management in Dominican Republic as part of a fund, a government fund that work on the implementation of the law. So after these 5 years, putting 24 hours a day in issues regarding waste, we need to put a focus on organic waste for the treatment for the effective treatment of waste. We have focused on recycling plastic, paper, metals, glass, but in the case of the majority of countries, our production of waste is 65% of organic waste. So if we find a solution for organic treatment, compost, or any other form of treatment, we will be solving a huge part, not only of the contamination of waste, but also reducing the gas emissions that this organic material does and contributes to the global warming.
Wonderful. Well, I know we have to get you to the UN, but just thank you to all of you for really, in the audience, for coming today, for your really engaging questions. And thank you to Columbia Global for helping to make this happen, to the team behind this, and most of all, thank you to you,
And
Minister.
any other question, you can email it to you, and
we're
you
more
send
than
it
happy
out.
to.
We're
Yeah,
happy
send
to.
them along. Yeah, and I just want to thank you for your time today with everything going on, for your leadership in this space, and for this very practical wisdom that we can all carry forward. So please join me in thanking the minister.
Okay. And my team is here, right there in front. You can come and join the list. And when are you going to the Dominican Republic to work with us?
Yes, yes, yes. Next time we'll come to you.